Chapter 4 Pub Crawl. Fresh food and rotten lumber seasoned the air. Though small, this rustic inn eclipsed the other buildings in Actonop. The wooden walls were bare except for the occasional spoils of a hunt. Tables were lined with tankards and townsfolk. They spoke in suspicious whispers about the oddities that had invaded their home. Monstrous races this far from Samasla? Now who let a demon into Actonop? Another villager mumbled. Paying monsters to kill monsters? They're even dressed up like people. Ugh. An old lady stormed out at the sight of Gol. That one's an orc. Those monsters killed my grandson. A drunkard noticed Tikal collecting a bounty from the barkeep. A dragon on two legs. Now I've seen everything. The other two targets of these comments sat in the downstairs bar. Their conversation filled the small building, eclipsing the complaints. Phil's fingers danced along the table as he weaved a story. So I told him, hit me and you'll go up in flames. Gol leaned in. Get to the good part. Did he or didn't he? Hit me right in the tail, the bastard. I shouted, I was trying to be nice. Then poof, like a ruby salesman on a hot day. Shame, really. We could have been friends, I think. Gol shook her head. And you'll wonder why there's a stigma around tieflings. One slap and the drop world burns around them. By the way, you have that money you owe me? That's just the sort of thinking I've been trying to stop. Wise to her scheming, Phil didn't miss a beat. By the way, I don't remember owing you a single copper. It's for services rendered. She tipped back a mug of bitter brick ale. After all, who wouldn't pay to drink the night away with a red-haired vixen like me? Vixen or no, we both know nobody wants to drink with you. The quantity alone would... Slamming down the glass, Gol interrupted. What's that? Huh? You got something to say? Want to tell me nobody cares about mixed blood like me? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Phil pulled the mug away from her. I think you've had enough. No home, no family, no traditions. Too tall for dwarfs and too pretty for orcs. You don't know what it's like to be hated just for being born. Her tan finger lazily poked Phil's rosy nose. Yeah, I can't possibly imagine. Enough sarcasm, funny guy. Any more lip from you, and you're getting a face full of fist. Calm down now, calm down. Remember what happened to the last guy that hit me? The fire, that thing? Yeah, that. Tikal returned to the table, roaring into the conversation. Would you two cool it with the debauchery before I put you both on ice? We're on a righteous journey to slay evil, not a pub crawl. Resting is part of a hero's job, Phil countered. Not to mention, it's easy to get people to like you here. A few mugs of ale, and they can't tell what color your skin is. The tiefling swept his glass around a room filled with dour faces. The most severe of these faces was worn by Tikal. It seems you have strayed onto a path of sinful indulgence. Gol cupped her hands and whispered, There she goes again. Want to gamble how long she rambles this time? Why, this reminds me of a passage relaying the virtue of responsibility. The Dragonborn preached at length, consulting her prayer wheel as her audience slipped away. Halfway to his room, the tiefling shouted back, I think we should turn in for the night. Don't let the goblins bite. Gol pressed an elbow into Phil's back. Her voice was an angry whisper. Room, now. Phil pushed forward, tripping up the inn's creaky stairs. Sorry. I guess saying that was a little insensitive? She threw him into the musty guest room that they had reserved. Phil sat on a round, splintering stool, while Gol flopped onto the thin mattress. She stared at the ceiling and asked, What's the big idea? I'd figured we'd go to bed early and set out at dawn. No, I'm talking about Sunny downstairs. Noticing the confusion on Phil's face, she spoke more plainly. You know, the load of laughs, preaching at the bar. We should grab the money and leave her behind. The tiefling shifted nervously in his seat. Maybe we should talk telepathically? I'd hate to hurt her feelings if she just happened to overhear us, you know? You stay out of my head unless it's an emergency. I don't need you poking around in my past. But I'm part of your past. Phil's tail slapped the wooden floor heavily. You weren't there for the worst of it. The dwarf orc crumpled up smelly sheets into a ball, and I'm not eager to share. All I remember is you swiping the savings I scraped together for a sweet treat. I hope it was worth making a young tiefling cry. Goal rolled to the side of the bed, resting both feet on the floor. Don't change the subject. Helping the prospector got us a bag of gold, but we're not any closer to finding that gem. She pressed a palm against her forehead. And now we're tagging along with some preachy paladin on a different mission? Phil rested his elbows on a box that served as a nightstand. We don't have any leads. Besides, he gave his horns a knowing tap. Warlocks have a way of keeping on track. She slapped a hand against the headboard. You're not fooling me. Every time you go and play hero, it gets harder for me to keep a low profile. Now you're introducing another loudmouth into the mix? The tiefling sat down on the bed beside her. If I didn't know any better, I'd think you're worried about me, Goal. He put a hand on her shoulder. Did something happen? She brushed him aside and laid back down. Just got me one mother of a debt to repay. Okay then, said Phil, deflating. Sure is chilly in here. Could I sleep on the bed this time? You mind? A rancid blanket was thrown over his head. Well, good to know that hasn't changed.